Sonoma Vineyards grows its grapes and makes its wine in the county from which it proudly takes its name, Sonoma County, California, one of the great wine-growing regions of the world. It's 65 miles north of San Francisco, bordered on the west by the Pacific Ocean, which cools its vineyards by night, just as the Sonoma sun warms them by day. Nature has provided, and man has come to discover, a rare set of coincidences of soil, climate, in which to make wine. This is their story, a story of soil, of the grapes, of human endeavor, and the wines of Sonoma Vineyards. During the long winter months, storms blow in from the Pacific Ocean only 20 miles away. We don't complain about the rain. Our average rainfall is about 36 inches a year. This gives us the ability to make it through the long, hot summer without irrigation. This is vital to the quality of wine. In France, you can't sell your wine with an appellation contrôlée if you irrigate your grapes. In fact, all of the great vineyards of the world are non-irrigated. We are one of the few places in California, and indeed the world, that could qualify as a truly great growth by these strict French standards, and indeed by our own stricter standards. Welcome to the cellars of Sonoma Vineyards. I'm Rodney Strong. I'm the winemaker here. I'd enjoy very much showing you around through our winery and out into the vineyards. Many things have to happen. Much work has to be done before we can enjoy sitting down and enjoying a glass of wine like this. It all starts out among the vines. In January and February, good men with strong hands brave the storms to prune the vines of their last year's growth. These old vines, some 30 and 40 years old, each year come forth with a luxurious growth. The men are cutting back that growth so that they will have the energy and the strength to push out again in the spring. They carefully select the most healthy canes and cut them back so that the new growth may emerge and rejuvenate itself once again. The vine is also shaped very much like a sculptor shapes a statue, so that the vine may remain strong and centralized, vital for many years to come. It takes years of experience to be able to look and quickly choose which buds are the healthiest and which ones are to be retained. After the pruning, the vines stand ready once again to produce their noble grapes. We start to cultivate the vineyard usually in April, or whenever it dries out enough to allow the tractor to get through the fields. The first time through the vineyards, the disc of the plow breaks the soil. The smell of the newly worked fresh earth is a fine perfume. Through the warm days and the cool nights of Sonoma summer, the vines begin to grow. The tractor driver must be very careful to get as close to the vines as possible without hurting them with the disc. This is the first time over at our Iron Horse Ranch. It's a young vineyard where the vines are just beginning to establish themselves. They will provide lovely Chardonnay for generations to come. After bloom and berry set, we see here an embryonic young bunch of grapes, which will ultimately look like this. The grapes have gradually formed and matured. They've gained weight and succulence and are now ready to harvest. This is the moment of truth when nature has done all it can, and man must take on the heavy responsibility of the task at hand. The harvest begins. Busy hands, fast hands, skilled hands move through the foliage, gathering the year's harvest. Here they come, tons and tons of grapes in from the fields. The winemaking begins. These grapes are being dumped into the hopper, where they will be carried forward into the crusher by this stainless steel screw. The crusher will break the skins and remove the grapes from the stems and allow the juice to free itself. The stems are then taken out into the vineyard and returned to the soil. Winemaking is one of the most ecological of all occupations. Virtually everything is done naturally and nothing is wasted. Such waste as there is returned to the soil where it is put to good use again. More grapes and more grapes. The tanks must be filled every year. Everyone is very busy now and working around the clock. The crush takes place in September and October. In this short time, we must make all the wine for the year. It's our one great opportunity. There's no margin for error. Some idiot seems to be yelling at everybody all the time, nagging and fussing about something, and that usually seems to be me. That's right, the grapes go in there, and they come out here, most of the time. After the wine is crushed and fermented, we put it into the press, Big Bertha. And every precious drop of juice is slowly extracted from the grapes. As the piston slowly and inexorably goes forward, contracting the pumice in the press, the juice is forced out through a porous stainless steel cylinder. The juice then trickles down into a pan where it's caught beneath the press and then goes off to its tank. The press wine is kept separate from the free run. After this, the wines are racked and put to sleep for a long rest. Some of these wines stay in barrels for years to complete their long maturation. We have thousands and thousands of these barrels. We have Limousin oak, Nevers oak, Francais oak from France. We have Slavonian oak from Yugoslavia, and white oak from America. Each one imparts a subtlety of its own to the wine. We are very careful about which wine goes into which oak. A small detail, perhaps, but a very important one. On the long route to the ultimate bottle of wine we were enjoying earlier, there are so many little things which must receive great attention and patience. That's what quality is. Attention to many small things to make a big thing. A wine you can be proud of. There's still not a machine invented that can properly taste and appraise wine. Happily, it's still an individual and human function. You might be interested to see what actually goes into the making of a vineyard. This is where it all starts. This is the real story of Sonoma Vineyards and how it grew. Once again, let's go out into the fields to watch how our 5,000 acres of land have become the definitive vineyards in Sonoma County. First, you prepare the soil, cultivate it over and over again to break up the clods. When it's perfectly smooth, we fumigate it to ensure that there is no phylloxera, nematodes, or oak root fungus existing in the soil. These great bug-like machines move along, cleansing the land, so that the young tender vines can exist and thrive. After the preparation and fumigation, the ground is now ready. You might say the canvas is ready for the painter. The vineyard is then laid out. Planting chains are carefully plotted through the vineyard, designating where every stake will go. A vine will be placed at each one of these limestone marks. This is careful, precise work. What you do here must live for over 40 years. The stakes are then laid out in endless rows. The vineyard is beginning to form through hard work and effort. Right behind comes the tireless stake driver. Up to 8,000 stakes a day are driven with this machine, again and again, up and down, up and down. Products of an old forest creating a new forest. The vineyard is beginning to form through hard work and effort. But all effort is not done by machine. Machines are a great help, but ultimately the vineyards must be a product of man. It's 6 o'clock in the morning, already warm, and here come the planters. The preparation is done, and the vines must be put into the ground. The vines are delivered from cold storage where they've been resting since they were removed from the nursery earlier in the year. The vines must be planted by men. It requires judgment and care. It requires hard work in the hot sun. many ways to plant a vine. Some plant hydraulically with water. Some use automatic diggers or motor-driven drills. We have found there's nothing like a man with a shovel to plant a vine correctly and with the